Hello everyone. In this video, I will be discussing the type aliasing feature available in C++ for creating alternative names or synonyms for a given data type. I will be discussing how it is done in C++ 11 onwards using the using keyword and what is the advantages of using keyword over typedef. So let's go. Now let's start with another way of providing type alias for a given data type, that is an alias for an existing data type or an alternate name. And with C++11, a new keyword was introduced, that is a using keyword that helped to perform this task. Now it had certain advantages over the existing typedef functionality, typedef keyword. Now we will discuss about this. Now we have discussed that the typedef was used earlier, like typedef for creating an alias. Now what we did was we provided existing data type followed by the new data type name that our alias, that is the alternate name. Now this was, we have discussed already how typedef accomplished this in the previous video. Now this particular typedef again helped us to provide shorter names, or when working specifically with complex type, a more descriptive name, and it was really helpful for creating an alias. But it had certain drawbacks. First, the way the particular type def was used not resemble the normal variable declarations, like int x is equal to 10. We provide a new name followed by the existing value and we equate it to that value. Now this is not resembling the normal variable declaration. Moreover, while working with templates, the type def no doubt can be used, but it was not used for generic template alias. That is a normally that we use for creating an alias, but that technique was not used. It was some specialization of statements had to be specified, and that was a little bit complex. So to avoid this, C++ team with the introduction of 11 introduced the using keyword for creating an alias, or you can say an alternate name, and it had syntax that had been similar to declaring variables. Now the syntax was using keyword followed by the new name is equal to the existing data type. As you know, using keyword is also used for creating an alias. So alias can be created in this, you following this syntax. Now it was more flexible and intuitive way, as especially when we were working with creating with templates, and we could use generic template aliases for this. Now this particular technique of creating alias was much more preferred and now used much more for creating type aliases. Now for example, if you remembered unsigned int natural sum, this was the example that we discussed, and typedef was used in this way to create an alias for unsigned int. That is whenever we used, but in with using keyword, it is much more resembling to that of variable declaration, that is a new type name followed by the existing type name and equal to separator, that is assigning this value to this. So this syntax is much more similar to the variable declaration, and as we have discussed earlier, this is a variable name of it automatically is equal to unsigned int. So this is typalizing feature mynum. Now we have already discussed how it was done, but using keyword is much more intuitive and flexible as it resembles the normal variable declarations. Similarly, we could use it in such a way that using some vector declaration like this, and we could replace this with typedef also, but it was much more not resembling the normal variable declaration. Similarly, for function pointers, so this way of presenting or creating alias is much more preferred nowadays because of its syntax is much more easier, and especially while working with templates, it is much more easier than using the typedef functionality for creating type alias. Now let us go and discuss some programs how it is done. Now let us make a program that shows the how using keyword is used for creating an alias. So let me create an int alias is equal to int. Now I've created an alias for the int type that I will be using. Let me create a function. First I declare some variables so that I can use this particular aliasing feature. As you can see, I'm using over here, I'm declared a variable. Now I have to include using namespace also, standard namespace. Okay, so this functionality by creating an alias. So I'm aliasing and creating a new name for this particular int type variable so that it can be understood much better way. Similarly, I can add some code over here. So this is the statement that I'm going to print some value, and this value I am going to display, and I'm going to call this function that I have created earlier. So this is simply the code that is making use of an alias for int. Now I just run this code and you can see that it is showing you inside namespace, inside function. I have to write. So it is showing me that I have created an alias, and specifically while working with large programs or gaming programs, networking programs, or something that is very complex type declarations, we prefer to use an alias. So this is how using keyword, and you can see here it is much more resembling to that of the variable declaration. But do remember, it just is for creating an alternative name for an data type only. So let me discuss it with using another program that I will be discussing how templates are done. Now let me discuss another program where I create a class template so that I can show how this particular aliasing feature is being used. We'll be discussing about templates in the near future in our videos, but for simplicity I'm just printing a small function, creating a small function that is a part of this class. I will be printing some value, and this value will be of t type, and let it be const, and I will be adding some code to this. Cout. So I have to provide first, because I'm using templates, I just include vector for the same, and I also provide using namespace std. Now I've used this function. Now I create an alias for this same function. So let me do it. Now this is being ended with semicolon. Now let me create an alias for this function template. The template name is, just provide a template, sorry, type name, and now I will be creating an alias using keyword. Name of the my alias, let it be my alias, and for what I am going to do, I am to avoid this my template that I have defined, and it is like this. So you can see over here it is resembling the normal variable declaration normally that we do, and while I will be using or calling this word function. So first my alias, and I am to provide int type value to, and creating my object. Now I will be calling this using this object to call the function that I have created, print, and I will be providing some value, and this is some value that I have added, or you can simply say it like this: int x is equal to 45. So let's see what is the output. Now the main statement is, instead I have created my own alias here, otherwise I have to write my template t. Okay, so specifically while working with complex types, so you can see here the value is being printed, and this is how this alias is used with the templates, specifically while using so this is using keyword that is used for type aliasing. Okay, now I will be discussing how you can use or create multiple using statements in a single program. So multiple aliases, as discussed with typedef, can also be declared in a file and making using keyword and used across multiple files in C++. So let's see how it is done. As we have discussed earlier, we create an header file. The only difference with the previous video is here we are making use of using keyword for creating type aliases. So multiple type aliases are created, and this will be used in the program as we discussed earlier. So I will not be making the code over here. If you want to really look for the code, you can look for the typedef code and replace the typedef with these three statements. And this is another way of creating an alias when multiple aliases are to be made a part of a single file. And this is much more helpful when we are working with large programs or we are making certain projects. So this is very important functionality of using keyword. Now we'll be discussing how using is used with namespaces that in the next video. Okay.
Subscribe, like, share